young age.
Okay.
The cadet programs is like the step below when you start getting into the military. I got involved with that around 15 years old.
Okay.
You can't really do much, and so you get into the cadet programs around 15, and then you escalate upwards. When I was doing that, that's when I actually was. They sent me down to Congress. I was doing lobbying for the United States Air Force Auxiliary. Why I'm being targeted specifically is because in that database that the NSA spying program utilizes, those members of the armed services and those members of politicians, those are the members of our country that are targeted the most. They keep the highest watch on them. I have had conversations with CIA agents. I'm very good friends because of all my military contacts with a lot of people in this, like the intelligence agencies and state law enforcement and in federal law enforcement. And within these contacts, they let me know certain things over the years. For example, I had a full-blown colonel in the United States Army who was going down to South America in black op missions back in the 70s and 80s. Basically, they invaded Colombia and set up the Mexican cartels.
Anyway, let me ask you a question. Why did you join the military? That's the first. That's the first question, right?
The first thing
Family,
that
for
I've ever
example,
wanted to,
family or not.
yeah, well, to be honest, my military roots, my family go all the way back. My family came over to the United States from Scotland in the 1600s before there was even a country here, when they were just colonies. My
Wow.
family had fought in the Revolutionary War against the British. My family has fought in the Civil War on both sides, and all the way up from Vietnam to World War II. My grandfather is a World War II veteran.
I mean, just a second here. Let me ask you something. So you told me that you're being like somewhat chased because you know something, right? So what is it that you can tell us that you know, right? Um, to help the people understand what's going on, for example, right now.
Basically, they are stopping any type of grassroots movement that contradicts the status quo and their narrative. The reason why I'm being targeted so viciously is because I have been deemed very influential and damaging to what they want.
Yeah, well, let me ask you just a simple question. You were telling me that we have a message that we should spread out, you know, like immediately, right? And I'm like, it's been 4 days that
Uh,
choppers, you know, military choppers hovering over here and there, and I've been listening to it. It's mainly at night after the second sunrise appears at 5 p.m., 7 p.m., you know, 6 p.m. anyway. So, you know, there's something going on. It's
well,
big, you know, I feel it, I
this
hear
is
it.
government.
Yeah, you were talking about it a little bit. Can you just disclose that a little bit more for the subscribers to understand what's going on?
Yes, yes, 100%. I don't know if they're going to implement Project Bluebeam. What I think it is the first craft that I've seen appeared on election night in Philadelphia. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think it was. I don't know if angel, demon, UFO. To be honest, it was stationary and it just didn't look right. That was the first thing. It wasn't a star. I was able to capture it on my iPhone. I have videos of that as well, and that's when the first one showed up. Now that is also, and again, it was 4 days ago. Exactly 4 days ago. And so this is a worldwide agenda that's coming into place now. And the drills, the military drills, everything that's happening is happening. It's happening at night, and that's the same exact time frame that you described over down there. That same exact time frame is happening here. So this is a worldwide agenda that they're implementing. Okay, and so what we know with what WikiLeaks released, what we know about what they released, they might be implementing this Project Bluebeam. I don't know if these are interdimensional beings, if these are actually aliens. I don't think they're actually aliens, to be honest. I have not a doubt in my mind that these are probably not. My own two cents that they're going to try to bring out this conflict to unite humanity under their false pretenses with them in control before they get exposed and get brought to justice. They're going to try to implement that. And I witnessed last night specifically a craft come into, and it defied the laws of gravity as we understand it. It defied certain expectations that what had just made me very curious about it, and which made me think that this was a human inside that aircraft instead of any type of other being. What was in that aircraft, what happened is Boeing 747, and again, I was in the Air Force for you guys. 747 was flying overhead while I saw this craft enter. And so as the 747 flew by, this craft, the craft changed from a bright diamond blue light that look like a star almost. These things are posing as stars, okay? They're trying to pose as stars until the moment's right. They're getting all the crafts, all their ducks in a row. And so these things, I saw the jet fly by, and the second that 747's field of vision went towards that UFO or that object, whatever it was, it went from bright diamond light to green, white, and red aircraft strobes. Never seen more tents. I've never seen more military convoys in my life. So obviously, the military knows something's going on.
Yeah.
The military knows, but they're not telling them. The military's in the dark. All right?
Man, I'm really close to Antarctica here, you know, compared to the U.S. I'm in the certain parts of South America, and I can hear like choppers for 4 days now in a row. I don't know how they're like fueling up, but they don't leave. You know, it's irritating. You know, it's kind of becoming irritating, and they don't leave. And they're there right now, for example. And this morning, 1 a.m., I heard what seemed to be bombs. You know, bombs going off, like loads of them, and really far away, but loads of them. Loads of them, yes, loads of them, and far away, very far away. And I was like, what is going on? Because there is no, this is like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, yeah, there's something wrong. There's something pretty wrong.
Big.
So what should people do?
Stockpiling food and water would be good, but obviously that only works for short durations of time. What's to come is going to be a lot more than that. I would say what is much way more important than stockpiling food is working with your municipal governments and local governments now. You work with your local governments and have certain infrastructure plans in place, all right? So when shit hits the fan, which it eventually will, your communities will be able to rely upon one another and not degrade. The biggest threat that we face when that happens is ourselves, all right? It's going to be the people that are hungry and the people. Can I tell you what kicked me out of the military?
Yeah.
What started this whole thing?
Yes, of course.
Cancer. I was given 6 months to live. I had the Mayo Clinic, Sloan Kettering, and here I was, your average dude. I was probably set up to go into the CIA. I had a very, very, very bright career in intelligence and espionage. I went to college for national security, international relations, political science, and with a minor in psychology. Couple that with the fact that I was already friends with congressmen and senators from my lobbying in the Air Force Auxiliary, and everything else. I was a prime candidate for everything that they do. And so for me, it was God himself who came into my life, the creator himself, to stop me, to stop my brain from being used in that aspect to further their control regime. He saved my life, but this is where it comes down to. There was tumors in my bone marrow. They did a spinal tap. The tumors were growing out of my spine. The tumor in my chest was the size of a grapefruit to volleyball. Okay. A grapefruit to volleyball size, huge tumor. I should not have been alive. Up until that point, I was a walking miracle. I had internal chest cavities. Like I was walking around and doing my military physical training every single day. The entire thing defied all medical explanations. But what defied more medical explanations was after I was given my death sentence, after I was told that I had no chance of fighting this thing and that I only had 3 to 6 months to live, something happened. I was told to go into chemotherapy. I said, I'm going to fight this thing. Chemotherapy. I said, I don't care if I'm going to die. I don't care if I'm going to lose all my hair. I don't care if there's a 1% chance. I'm going to do it. Okay? I'm going to fight this thing. Well, it turns out, man, 2 weeks before I start chemotherapy, the cancer had spread so much that they took that 6 months and turned it down to 2 months. They said, all right, your cancer is moving so fast, it's now moving into your femurs, into your feet, into your finger bones, and all over your entire body. They had one last step. The next week, they did one last bone scan to see how far the cancer had progressed since the last week. In that last bone scan, 3 days before I'm supposed to start chemotherapy, on my life, on my grandmother's grave, on every human being on this planet that I love, every inch of the cancer that was in my body a week ago disappeared. I got involved with cadet programs at a very young age.
Okay.
The cadet programs is like the step below when you start getting into the military. I got involved with that around 15 years old.
Okay.
You can't really do much, and so you get into the cadet programs around 15, and then you escalate upwards. When I was doing that, that's when I actually was. They sent me down to Congress. I was doing lobbying for the United States Air Force Auxiliary. Why I'm being targeted specifically is because in that database that the NSA spying program utilizes, those members of the armed services and those members of politicians, those are the members of our country that are targeted the most. They keep the highest watch on them. I have had conversations with CIA agents. I'm very good friends because of all my military contacts with a lot of people in this, like the intelligence agencies and state law enforcement and in federal law enforcement. And within these contacts, they let me know certain things over the years. For example, I had a full-blown colonel in the United States Army who was going down to South America in black op missions back in the 70s and 80s. Basically, they invaded Colombia and set up the Mexican cartels.
Anyway, let me ask you a question. Why did you join the military? That's the first. That's the first question, right?
The first thing
Family,
that
for
I've ever
example,
wanted to,
family or not.
yeah, well, to be honest, my military roots, my family go all the